Soft-Spoken Storytime, Episode 44, continuing on with SCP-001, AMONI RAM. Please watch the video before this, or you will be confused. This is Part 2. Section 001.5, Later Research. The additional personnel and requisitions arrived via airlift to ARF-01 throughout March and April of 1984. The sudden threefold increase in personnel required immediate expansion. ARF-02 was established in another structurally intact skyscraper in the southern district of AMONI RAM, each site now holding approximately 100 personnel. To connect the two sites, the disused rail system of AMONI RAM was brought back into functional condition to ferry materials and personnel. This further necessitated the repair and refurbishment of the city's power grid and reactors. Using technical assistance from SCP-001-A1 and its automatons, while the cold fusion reactors required extensive study and repair, the relatively simpler nuclear reactors, incorporating paratechnology, were slowly brought online using requisitioned nuclear fuel. On April 12th, the first two thermic reactors came online, providing power to the entire western and southern districts of the city, allowing use of lighting, air conditioning, and of all the rail system to ferry personnel and materials between the two sites. Open addendum. Interviewers: Dr. Hedwig Nussbaum, Dr. Robert A. Ram. Subject: SCP-001-A1. Begin log. SCP-001-A1. You are repairing my city. Aram: Hello to you too. Yes, I suppose we are. I hope that's not a problem. No. Your help was invaluable. The technology, it's a marvel. We would have taken years to figure it out alone. You would have eventually. No matter. Nussbaum: You might have noticed that there are a lot more of us lately. Yes, you are settling into the ruins. Well, no, I wouldn't. You are assisted in my city. You are permitted. Oh, well, thank you. I wanted to probe you on some history. I do not know what help I can be. I have guided you to the historical records. Yes, but we would like a primary source. So you yourself remember nothing about the city you call home? What happened at the end of the Empire, perhaps? Pause. I'm deeply sorry if we offended. Curiosity should never be an offense, but I do not have the answers you seek. My memory, it is fragmented, my mind, sundered. I remember little more than hazes and flashes, images, sitting at the market, eating a fruit and waiting for mother, playing with the other children and falling, crying as my brother fixed the welds and screws on my leg. My mind is not my own. So you weren't always like this. You were human? I was better. I was mechanite. This was not always my form. This much I know. But who I was, how I arrived in this state, I do not know. But I remember the sky cracking as down came the walls, and the lancemen held back the tide of monstrosities and verdure, so we could escape to the Undercity. That does explain the corpses. Jeez. I cannot tell you my history, because I do not remember, but I can help you find it yourself. How? I told you of the Fulda throne, and how it was used by each emperor Bamaro to call the wisdom of all predecessors. It accepts memories imprinted into special cylinders and feeds them to its occupants through their augments. The cylinders we found in the basement. Wait, so if I sat in the chair, the throne, and someone fed the cylinder in, I would see the memory? Feel it in my arm and leg? Yes. All that is required is the fist. The what? An heirloom of the imperial family. A special augment, allowing them to use the throne. The throne is one of the most mystical and powerful artifacts ever created. The fist ensures only those that were meant to sit on it could use it. Okay, where is this fist? You already have it. The machine you gave me. It fits perfectly on the end of my arm. That's not a coincidence, is it? No, but I am as blind to what brought about the end of the Mechanites as you. Go now and discover our legacy. Tell me, so I might remember what I was before. End log. Upon their exit from the Undercity, Project Leads immediately assembled a team and made for the palace to investigate the throne. The hum of machinery was barely audible from inside. It was concluded that bringing the city's power online had returned the throne to working order. The left armrest contained a port that fit the cylinders recovered from the library, while the right contained a depressed section molded around the grip of the fist. Testing was immediately commenced. Open addendum. Begin log. Nussbaum. I'm not sure about this, Robert. Aram. I trust persevere. I'm the only one modded out enough to get a good view of what the memory is, and you need to be here to make sense of what I'm seeing. It'll be fine. Still, it's not like we have a lot of options if we want to figure out what happened. Aram settles into the throne, placing the fist into its depression. Wow, this thing is uncomfortable. Go on and put the cylinder in. Okay. Your engineers are out by the power line. Just say the word and we'll shut it down. Are we recording? Okay. Nussbaum steps to the side of the throne, placing the metal canister into it. It sinks into the slot, and the throne begins emitting a steadily increasing hum of machinery and clicking. After several seconds, a noise locks the fist in place. Oh shit, here we go. Aram's eyes fill with a pale golden light, and he arches his spine, held in place by the fist. He writhes wordlessly in the throne, gasping. Robert? Robert! Oh shit. Oh F. Oh F, F, F. I see it. Oh God. No, I can handle it. Aram continues to writhe, bucking forward and backward on the throne, before abruptly ceasing and coming into a seated position. Robert? Are you there? What do you see? Oh my... It's beautiful. What is? I'm standing on the palace, the balcony facing the eastern district. The sun is rising. It's casting this beautiful, dappled light across the whole city. I can see all of it, the buildings. There's no skyscrapers. It's not ruined. It's perfect. The streets are bustling with activity, the markets. People are hawking their wares, shouting. It's a living, breathing city. They all have bionics of some sort. The sun hits the horizon and I can see them. Their arms or legs or faces shining. I'm turning away and heading into the palace. The scene changed. What is it? I'm sitting in a carriage? No, a car? Some sort of car thing being driven through the streets. There's guards all around me, armored and covered in swords, and some sort of primitive gun, and I have the window down. People are offering things to me. Bread, wine, fruits, gifts. Someone just slid a canvas in. It's an oil painting of a man, a huge brown man with a beard, and oh gosh, it's me. I'm Bamaro. It's a painting of me. Half the body is all Falad, left leg and both arms. I'm smiling and waving to the people. We're talking. It's Mechanite. I can't understand them. Just repeat the noises. I'll transfer later. Thank you. Your Lord loves you. McCain honors us all. Just lots of happy shouting. Okay, we're back in the palace now. I'm on the throne. There's people in the throne room. Soldiers, I think. Generals. The important one is a woman in this dragon armor. They're all poring over a huge map of, I think it's Asia. It's all effed up like the one in the engravings. There's lines drawn everywhere, symbols. There's 3 big circles. One is in Egypt, one's in India, one's on the Chinese coast. They're all yelling and arguing. They're looking at me. I look away to the right. There's a woman there. She's beautiful. Her eyes are gone. There's just a golden mask, but she's beautiful. There's this intricate set of golden metal feathers, wings on her back. I love you so much. There's a little boy next to her. It's my wife and son. I'm looking at the generals. I nod. The Covenant go too far. Prepare the Golden Legion. The light disappears from Aram's eyes, and the locks release. He slumps backward, unconscious. Nussbaum. Robert! Medic! End log. Dr. Aram was removed from the throne room and taken to the infirmary at ARF-01. Medical personnel found he had a slightly elevated blood pressure and heartbeat, consistent with strenuous physical activity, but was otherwise healthy. He was placed in an infirmary bed. The following day, he was conscious, active, and responsive within normal levels. Closer inspection revealed no lasting physical or neurological damage from the incident, and Dr. Aram indeed expressed a closer interest in the archaeological team's findings in the following days, citing his experience as giving him a newfound interest in the extant Mechanite culture. While the findings from the throne test were transcribed and analyzed, other records found in the city were translated. And the sweep of the Golden Legion took 3 long centuries of expansion as the Mechanite Empire's legates established beautiful, harmonious dominion on the oases and villages of the world. And as they expanded, they found relics, artifacts sheared from Mechanne during their god's fall from heaven, scattered over the earth. And with each relic carried back to AMONI RAM, the fervor of the people grew and grew as their leaders rose, warred, and died for their heirs. And as the Legion marched forward over those long centuries, 2 other nations of man marched. The Covenant of Deva rode forth on their great horrible spirit beasts, searing a path through the jungle from their twin city of Mamjul Karar, and they used their black magic to open a gap, stepping from one side of the continent to another, and those that went through established another city, Aditum, that would later, after another 2 centuries, fall to its own slaves, branding themselves the Nalka. And all these parties marched into Asia, only vaguely aware of the existence of the other 2, until the Battle of Harumar, where they collided. The existence was an affront, the disgusting flesh beasts of the Nalka, an insult to the steel glory of Mechanne, and the Covenant's plant spirits choking and infesting the gears and wheels of the Legion, and so the Legion fired the first mortar, shattering the Covenant's ranks, and thus began a war that would end with the destruction of Asia. The First War raged across the continent in every theater. Fleets of golden-hulled warships constructed in AMONI RAM and pushed downriver to encounter the Covenant in the bay. The Nalka raised an army of the dishonored dead from Aditum and marched them ceaselessly to throw themselves in the front line, choking the vines of the sorcerer Nawabs. There were no laws in war, and there is no honor in death. Every corpse was fodder for future battles. Forests were scorched during retreat to deny the Covenant seed, and the warriors of the Nalka and Covenant chose to throw their weapons in the sea rather than surrender the precious metal to the foundries of the Legion. And the Colossi, great 1,000-armed tall Goliaths of steel and bronze, the Falad, that rent the sky down upon the Nalkan hordes. Every second man was killed in the fighting, and it raged for 300 years, and would have gone on forever, until the abominate landed his ships on the western coast of Ethiopia, and began his march to AMONI RAM. Devastation. A week later, Dr. Aram once again volunteered to use the throne, citing his quick recovery and the wealth of potential ancient knowledge hidden in the accounts of the various emperors Bamaro. Open addendum. Begin log. Nussbaum. Do you feel all right? Aram. Dandy. I know what to expect this time. I'm prepared. Still, do not go so far this time. Worried about me? About the throne. Sure. I'm ready. Okay. It looks like last time. You saw the beginning of the Mechanite Empire's war, possibly through the eyes of the original Bamaro. From there, we think we've managed to figure out a rough chronological order for the cylinders, so today I want to try and get something from the middle. Aren't we looking for what happened at the end? I doubt you would be able to discern who exactly is attacking the city in the panic and confusion. We need to go slightly back. Try to see if we can deduce which way the winds are blowing, what the nature of the Nalka and the Covenant are exactly. Okay. We also need to try to figure out the historical standings of these empires, their influence on their contemporaries. I don't exactly control what I see, you know. Aha, but I believe you can. It would not be very useful if the kings could not specify what knowledge they wanted to recall from their forefathers. How would I do it? Focus your thoughts. Try to recall. You have no idea, do you? Aram laughs. Okay, here we go. Nussbaum inserts the cylinder into the throne, inciting the same reaction as before from Aram, though significantly less violent and more controlled. Oh shit. Okay, it's different. It's all... Wait. This isn't AMONI RAM. This is somewhere else. Describe it to me. Still in the desert, but it's like a movie desert. All perfect sand dunes. A stone city, wide, flat, not advanced like AMONI RAM. Monuments, statues. There's a river. It's effing massive. Wait, I've been here before. This is the Nile. This is Luxor. This is Thebes. We're in Egypt. There is our historical contemporary. It's late. The sun's setting. I'm Abe Amaro, sitting at the head of a caravan. We're riding automatons, six-legged beetle things. We're pulling into Thebes. There's a party waiting for us. We're being welcomed into the city. We're in a throne room now. There's a man sitting on a throne. It's a pharaoh. Based on the time frame, that would be Menkaure, the builder of the smallest of the Giza pyramids. We're talking, exchanging gifts, pleasantry. Wait, no. I just sent all the servants out. It's just us and our bodyguards now. We're discussing something. He just asked if he can expect my support against something called the Abominate. My army is already spread thin to enforce peace on my land. I cannot afford to be involved in your affairs, Pharaoh. We're arguing, shouting. The Abominate is marching on AMONI RAM, and he will cut a swath through Egypt and stack your corpses to build a bridge across the Nile for his army. If I rout the Covenant at Tamad, we can stand united. I said no, I'm leaving. He's angry. Why doesn't he understand? There are bigger things at stake. Robert, focus. What is happening? No, different scene, different throne room, different ruler. A man in a robe and a turban. Looks Arab or Ottoman or something. He's shaking his head. Now it's some sort of tribal chief in a tent. A Rus prince. We're discussing establishing trade routes, selling our falad and technology. We're willing to trade, but they don't want to get involved with the war and risk the Nalka or the Covenant. So there are contemporaries, but they did not risk their heads in a clash between titans. Okay, now... Oh... Robert? Oh my, we're in a city, a ruined city. There's jungle around it. It's aflame. The sun is setting. The smoke's thick in the air and rising in plumes. I'm standing on a bluff. There's a regiment behind me. My soldiers, the Golden Legion, are lobbing things into the city. Firebombs and mortars. They're scaling the walls. The defenders they look Indian almost. They're running in terror. There's ghosts? Some kind of spirit swirling in the air, mixing with the smoke. We're bringing down the walls and killing the soldiers on the battlements. There's someone behind me. The general, the woman, in the dragon armor. The troops are looking to her. I'm giving her a nod and she screams something, and they charge down the bluff. This giant metal armor suit leading the charge. They're shattering the line. Jeez, it's a massacre. She's holding a sword up. Holy shit. Lightning just struck it. Now I'm in the city. I'm on my mount surveying the ruins. The woman is beside me. I touch her head. I can see myself in her helmet. I'm young. I can't be more than 25, but I'm in the intricate battle armor. There's survivors. There's someone dragging themselves across the dirt. Jeez. F. What? She just stepped on his head. Something burst out. This spirit flame thing just shot into the air. Oh man, I'm gonna be sick. Focus, Robert. Please? Try to think of AMONI RAM. Oh, okay, we're here. I'm standing in the palace. The city's militarized. There's guards in the streets, and the walls have... Are those machine gun turrets? Are you talking to someone? Yes, an engineer. Is McCain's Kiss ready? We can't be sure without testing it, but we feel confident. The Undercity has been retrofitted to fit all the components. They require a simply tremendous power source, but it works. There's something in the distance. Oh, holy. What is it? There's mechs. They're gigantic. They have to be 200 feet tall. 4 legs and 2 arms. They're moving slowly, but they're huge. I can see 3 of them from here. They're circling the city. Are they approaching? No. They're enforcing a perimeter. There are weapons. Oh man, this isn't a war. This is an apocalypse. Okay, time to take a break, I think. Yeah. Aram removes himself from the throne. Robert? Yes? When did you learn to speak Mechanite and Egyptian? I have no idea. End log. Upon the discoveries of the epochal scale of the First War waged between the 3 empires, research began to take a special priority on war records and weapons technology that may have been left behind. Over the course of the following weeks, records of manufacture and shipment for thousands of ammunition and supplies were translated, revealing a scale of war production previously considered impossible in antiquity, and rivaling the war output of developed nations in the modern era. In addition, the references to the McCain's Kiss, suggested to be an extremely powerful superweapon of some sort, incited a new flurry of research into the components and devices in the Undercity. Open addendum. From the desk of researcher Muhammad Zaid, AMONI RAM Initiative. Memo to Dr. Robert A. Ram. I understand you're recovering from extended experimentation with the throne. Not to disturb your rest, but the team thinks we've come up with a solid theory on what the device under the city and the McCain's Kiss is. Just some background context. Some of the geologists that came in during the second wave of personnel made some interesting, but at the time irrelevant discoveries, amounting to the revelation that the sand within SCP-001 is of a slightly different chemical composition to the sand outside it. The sand inside is more similar to a kind of white sand found in a section of the Arabian Desert several hundred miles northeast. We didn't know what to make of it, but the recent research into the Undercity has changed things. We've mapped out the whole device. It occupies 65% of the Undercity's volume. Practically everything is connected to it that isn't stuff like the sewers. Its components have also become more understandable, with our new experience on mechanite design, architecture, and philosophy. The technology is antiquated, but it's almost all paratech, extremely powerful conduits, converters, connections, etc., all terminating in a small chamber emitting extremely high levels of radiation. We sent a protected probe in, warding it. It melted a few minutes later, but we ran the pictures and energy signals against the database and got nothing. We've never seen anything like it. But then TENS decided to call in a few favors and run it against the GOC database. Apparently they've seen something like it and tried to weaponize it, a long-distance, large-scale matter D/reconstructor and emitter. A gigantic teleporter, basically. Apparently big enough to move an entire city hundreds of kilometers. McCain's Kiss isn't a superweapon. It's a Hail Mary. Unfortunately, it's completely burned out. It'd require a team months to get it back into remotely working order, and that's ignoring the problem of power. It's way too demanding to pull from the city's power grid. We think it draws directly from the cold fusion reactors, which is another impossibility. Plus, we still don't know how it was controlled, or how any of the computation works without, well, computers. In any case, I don't think AMONI RAM will be teleporting anywhere soon. And in the 60th year of the war, as the fighting reached a crescendo and Tamad burned with the shelling of the Legion on the flesh hordes of the Nalka, the matriarch of the Covenant and the Grand Karcist Ion, met under the shadow of night in the black catacombs of Adytum, and there they came to understand a truth. Bitter enemies though they might be, the flesh of the Nalka and the plants of the Covenant were an extension of each other, both extrusions of the natural world. Evenly matched, neither could truly destroy the other. But the mechanite-blessed steel was something else, a gift from the sky, well capable of crushing each of them. But together they stood a chance. And such it was that as the invasion plans were drawn, and the great siege engines were constructed, and the polearms cooled in the foundries, the Golden Legion marshaled and marched themselves, beginning the long, bloody trek to Adytum. And as they crossed through the desert of Asia, the Nalka were lending their voices to another invasion, this one raised by the sorcerer Nawabs, with the Deva against AMONI RAM, a black, wicked army secretly gathering in the jungles of the south, marching on the suddenly vulnerable first ram of the Mechanites. And with them came the magics. The Nalka offered one of their greatest boons, a plague to infest the city, and the Covenant offered the song of the Deva to make the verdant greenery of the desert rebel against its masters. And even then, their marshaled forces were not enough to dominate the Colossi and take the city. But in the far west beyond the gate, another storm was brewing. The Abominate, may his name never be spoken of, stood on the shores of the coast as the damned fleet disembarked from their massive ships, and his army assembled itself from his prisoners and his soldiers, and the march to the east, to AMONI RAM, began. The city settled between two unstoppable forces, neither aware of the other's presence, as the two armies pushed to the walls of the city, and the head of its king, queen, and general. Another meeting with O511 was scheduled for June 26th to ascertain the progress of the AMONI RAM initiative and relay new discoveries regarding the fate of the Mechanate culture. On June 25th, an unidentified aircraft was detected 10 kilometers away from SCP-001. Upon confirmation that the aircraft was approaching SCP-001's entrance, ARF-01 radioed it asking for identification. The aircraft responded with valid Overwatch Command credentials, coming to a close landing and allowing O511 to disembark and enter SCP-001, escorted by MTF Alpha-1, Red Right Hand. Open addendum. Begin log. O511 is standing in one of AMONI RAM's thoroughfares. An Alpha-1 agent stands on every nearby corner and window. The sun is directly overhead, but the cooling and power units on the street corners keep the air at room temperature. A hot, silent wind passes through the Broadway. Abram and Nussbaum approached from the north. Nussbaum, out of breath. Hello, sir. O511, sorry about the welcome. We weren't expecting you. I arranged a meeting, didn't I? Yes, but we didn't expect you to, show up in person? Don't blame you. We're not exactly an outgoing bunch. But I've heard so many great things about this city over the past year. About its secrets, architecture, technology, culture, history. I wanted to see it for myself. Everything you were hoping for? That and more. I'll admit, it does look a lot nicer now that you've started to rebuild the place. Thanks. We've managed to get primary power back online, along with the train system and a lot of Undercity's navigation maps and such. The power and climate control as well, obviously. We're going to try and get the city's weaponry back online soon, see what kind of defensive technology they were packing. Hold that thought. Dr. Nussbaum? Yes? I'm told your historical team has made several breakthroughs recently, especially using the throne anomaly, which, if I recall correct, you're the primary test subject for, Dr. Aram? That's correct. We've done about a dozen tests since we discovered it. Only a handful have turned up anything substantial. It's mostly fragmented memories from old kings. Watching as the streets swell with citizens and goods flood into the markets. Visions of battlefields as the Mechanite armies take on the Covenant and the Nalka. Right. And of course, you've translated how many other recovered tablets now? Dozens. Over 100. But like the throne records, most are simple, banal correspondence. Not the recent ones. Correct. I have a presentation compiled in my office. Shall we? Lead the way. Nussbaum, ARAM, 0511, and the Alpha 1 operatives enter the office inside ARF-2. It fully covers one of the higher floors of the massive skyscraper. Inside, the furniture is a combination of metal and intricate stonework. A wall of windows looks out over the city. The group takes a seat in front of the desk. I expected more of a cantonment, but no, you seem quite comfortable set up here. Nussbaum laughs. Well, we have been here for nearly a year now. Plenty of time to settle in, and expanding to the second site has also helped free up space. Everyone has their own chambers. Home sweet home. Anyway, as you know, we have made great strides recently in determining the fate of AMONI RAM and the Mechanite culture at large, using translated historical records in tandem with the throne visions and SCP-001-A's admittedly limited accounts. It has been established that the Deivic Covenant originate from the Indian subcontinent, and the Nalka are likely from Central or East Asia, but the later records repeatedly mention a fourth party, the so-called Abominate. As of now, we know functionally nothing about who or what this is, only that they were in possession of a fleet of seafaring vessels that landed on the shores west of AMONI RAM in the Old Country. My hypothesis is that this is West Africa. The records say this figure marched on AMONI RAM. Well, the Covenant Nalka coalition marched from the east, yes. An army crossing the entire breadth of the Sahara 4,000 years ago is hard to believe. It's not the strangest thing we've seen out here. Indeed, we also have reason to believe that the Gobi Desert was a significant theater in the First War, which would suggest the three primary cultures also had some sort of experience warring in deserts. You say these three primary cultures. You don't include the Abominate in the equation? We are not sure if they're human yet, much less a distinct culture group. The Aegean tablets also do not mention any fourth party in the First War. However, I also have been in contact with some colleagues of mine at King Saud University, researching the mundane Tamid culture in the northwest. They recently unearthed a trove of tablets in the region, apparently detailing a cataclysmic battle between four armies for control of a major city. Bingo. Yes, I already have some people translating it. It is quite complex, but full translation should be ready within the month. In any case, the Mechanite records we've found indicate that in the later stages of the war, the Nalka and Deivic Covenant allied themselves to take AMONI RAM, while the Mechanites' Golden Legion marched across Asia to Aditem, the Nalka capital. This covers 3 of our armies, and evidently the Abominate is the 4th, but they also implied that the combined force of the Nalka and Deivic Covenant was not enough to take the city, that the Abominate, whatever it is more responsible for the fall of AMONI RAM. That's disconcerting, but I suppose that there's nothing to do now but wait for translations, yes? That would appear to be the case. Right. Dr. Abram, you said you had updates about the technology? That's right. We've discovered a lot of military weapons. It looks like they range from CQC, polearms, and swords, and what seem to be primitive chainsaws, to long-range shoulder-mounted mortars and elephant guns. These were all in ruined warehouses in the sacked portion of the city, but we've also made a few interesting finds in the Undercity. Do tell. First, a few suits of functional power armor, of the kind in the throne records. Exoskeletons to enhance strength, speed, durability, power. Some of them even flight-capable, though through gravity-defying paratechnology. Unfortunately, they were unusable without mechanite implants to link to. Well, that's a shame. Was. A few days later, SCP-001-A directed us to another chamber in the Undercity, this one filled with assembly lines, industrial sections, and crates on crates of mechanite implants. Phalade and steel bionic arms, legs, prosthetics, torso cages, even heads. And of course sensory implants, replacement visual and sensory suits, just like ours. The Foundation already gives those things out like candy, so I think they're worth experimenting on with D-Class. You want to outfit D-Class with millennia-old cybernetics so you can put them inside highly destructive mech suits? You know I can't approve that, Robert. I see. The risk is just too great. Sure, okay. In the meantime, we'd like to try and see if the city's defensive systems still work. The ones I saw in my visions. The mechs, the gun emplacements. These visions. You trust them? I do. Seen them with my own two, well, not eyes, but you know what I mean. Why wouldn't I? Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I don't lay my faith in all the technology quite so easily. I'd be wary. But if what you said is true, then there's at least 2 superweapons in the city that the Foundation can deeply benefit from. Those Colossus are impressive. And of course the teleporter, McCain's Kiss. It's not... Yes, sir. I'm going to need lots of supplies, deuterium and tritium, most importantly. We're going to try and bring those cold fusion reactors online. That's a big ask, and a dangerous one. We'd like to know how the city was destroyed before we accidentally blow it up. Ha! We've already mastered most of the technology we've discovered, and we do have Persevere to assist us still. SCP-001-A1, yes, still. Discovering the city's defense and how effective they are is crucial to getting an accurate image of the battle, right, Hedwig? Yes, it is. I support the idea. Well, if both of you are in agreement, I can make it happen. But be safe, and don't take any needless risks. We don't want anything happening this far in, yes? Of course. End log. From the desk of Dr. Robert A. Ram, AMONI RAM Initiative. Personal log. Progress on rebuilding the cold fusion reactors is progressing much, much faster than projections. Normally I'd be worried, but I'm surprisingly calm. It's obvious, our people are getting familiar with the technology. The Phalade foundries are operating at amazing efficiency. We've worked out how to mold and shape the metal just how we need it. And what last year looked like a bizarre, nonsensical circuit structure and design philosophy now strikes me as beautifully idiosyncratic, a snapshot into a bygone era. I've never really been one for history, more of a STEM type. I never looked down on those that pursue history. I just didn't see the attraction. Machines are in front of you, something tangible you can see and hear and touch and interact with. You can't do that with history, not really. The Phalade throne, of course, has changed that. I've spent lifetimes of ancient emperors in minutes. It's staggering. The depth of emotion and personality you can feel from only a few choice minutes in someone's body. Their grief, pain, joy, their story. Fascinating stuff. The technology of the throne and any possible side effects remain elusive, but we've been testing it for a few weeks now, maybe a dozen times, and while I'm always tired after, not a surprise at my age, I feel fine otherwise. And now I know Mechanite, Greek, and Egyptian. Go figure. I've gotten a front seat view to the First War, and it is apocalyptic. There's really no other word for it. Gigantic mech suits crushing cities as the sky itself opens up, spirit demons fighting alongside human compatriots, metal soldiers charging walls, insanity. A secret, bloody history of the world doesn't even remember. But as with all war, it's not quite so black and white. Being inside the various Bumaros bodies, none of them were tyrants or dictators. Maybe autocrats, but what emperor wasn't? They all wanted to protect their people, to raise them to something beyond human. I can't help but sympathize, Nothing impresses onto you the fragility of your body than nearly losing it, but they understood that and actively improved themselves using the bionics and implants. Reach heaven through transhumanism. Speaking of implants and bionics, the cache we discovered some weeks ago, along with the Legion armor, O511 denied D-Class testing. It's frustrating. We can't use the glorious technology here to improve the world. We can't use it to improve ourselves. We can barely use it to improve the damn city. It's devastating. And most of the team agrees with me that we should use it. So we did. I can't use D-Class to test the implants, but using myself is a different matter. The new arm is wonderful. It's smoother, more responsive, more sensitive and durable, and it doesn't even hurt at the end of the day. I can sleep with it on. 99% of our personnel in AMONI RAM are already augmented, so changing out their stainless steel arm for a flawed one or something is no big deal. Why should 5 be the only one that reaps the gifts of the mechanites left on us? On July 29th, 2:05 p.m., Dr. Nussbaum and 4 members of the archaeological team were excavating a number of mosaics in the Undercity. Over the course of the day, the team progressed further inward into an unstable section. The ceiling overhead suddenly gave way, causing a minor collapse. Due to a number of strength-enhancing bionics and cybernetic augments, the archaeological team members were able to escape largely unharmed. However, Dr. Nussbaum sustained severe internal and external injuries from the collapse and was rushed into emergency surgery in the ARF-01 infirmary. Due to the severity of injury sustained, including a shattered collarbone, fractured spine, cranial injuries, and hemorrhaging, medical personnel were able to stabilize her in critical condition. Her likelihood of survival was deemed extremely low. At this point, Dr. Aram arrived with several engineering team personnel, an SCP-001-A instance, and a variety of mechanite implants and augments. He proposed to the medical team's agreement that utilizing the advancing mechanite augments to stabilize her and offer her a chance of survival was the ethical option and was legitimately possible using SCP-001-A1's expertise voiced through the A instance. A combination of medical and engineering personnel worked for 29 hours to implant 17 pieces of mechanite technology across Dr. Nussbaum's body. After 32 hours unconscious, she awoke on July 31st. Begin log. Nussbaum whispering. Water. Oh, you're awake. Here, don't move your arms. Aram lowers a cup of water to her lips. She takes a long sip. Can't see. That's probably for the best right now. Do you remember what happened? Ceiling collapsed. Assistance, okay? Yeah, they made it out fine. You weren't so lucky. They brought you to the infirmary, but you were effed up. Really, really bad. Broke nearly every bone in your body. Nussbaum freezes. I cannot feel my legs or my arms. My back aches. The morphine. Robert, why can't I feel my limbs? You were going to die. I stepped in. We worked for nearly a day and a half non-stop. Doing what? Replacing your shattered body with the mechanite prosthetics. We recovered, letting them do the work of saving your life. We fit them in and they went to work. Your immune system integrated with them seamlessly. It was like they came to life, working to repair the damage done. Nussbaum starts hyperventilating. Hedwig, calm down. Listen to me. Oh God, I look like a monster, don't I? Listen to me. You would have died. And even if you didn't, you would have laid in the hospital bed for 3 agonizing years while your body stitched itself back together. And then you would have had to relearn to walk, sit, breathe, and you would have suffered in pain for the rest of your natural life. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way after the accident. That I had been ruined, that I would never be the same. The flesh is weak, Hedwig. Your new body, you'll be up on your feet in a week, maybe less. You may never be the same. You'll be better. Get some rest. And for what it's worth, I don't think you look like a monster at all. These implants are works of art. The spine support is spread like a pair of wings. You look like an angel. End log. Dr. Nussbaum continued her recovery for 2 weeks in SCP-001, refusing medevac to Area 66 in Sinai upon seeing the extremely rapid recuperation offered by the implants. Evaluations by medical personnel provided insight into the enhancements offered by the mechanite augmentations. Internally, they integrated with her immune and nervous systems, offering fine instinctual control and an increase in healing speed. Due to the relative lightness of the flawed metalwork compared to steel, her body mass did not shift considerably. However, her strength, lift capacity, running speed, pull weight, and a suite of other measurements vastly increased in the weeks following her recovery. She similarly reported significant increases in her sensory ability, well beyond that given by her former Foundation issue ocular and auditory implants. The spinal brace and its external portion, an artfully crafted pair of wings able to be extended and retracted by the user, allow a limited but notable ability to glide on strong updrafts. On August 28th, Dr. Nussbaum declined an offer of a desk position in Area 66, choosing to continue her work as project co-lead of the AMONI RAM initiative. Dr. Aram was reprimanded for his unauthorized use of potentially dangerous anomalous artifacts on a colleague and himself, but was not given disciplinary action considering the extenuating circumstances, and Dr. Nussbaum's expressed gratitude toward him, stating that if she had been conscious, she would have consented to the procedure. Open addendum. Interviewers: Dr. Hedvig Nussbaum and Dr. Robert Aram. Subject SCP-001-A1. Begin log. Hello, Persevere. You return. My eyes informed me of the accident. You have my sympathies, Hidara. My name is Hedvig. Of course, my apologies. Yes, well, thank you. I am told you helped the team save my life. They did. How did you know? My automata scour the Undercity. I saw a structural failure in that sector and dispatched several units to warn you. It was too late. If you were too late, I would not be here now. Indeed, you are an impressive sight. Excuse me? You are the first human I have seen with the full augmentations, the way it used to be done, the way we all used to be. Oh, right. I suppose this was standard fare in your time. Yes, my memories inch closer. I remember receiving my first, my left hand, made of a polished red. Right. We came by to tell you that we've nearly exhausted the records and cylinders you led us to. They're fascinating, but they do not explain what happened to AMONI RAM after it was marched on by the Nalka, the Covenant, and something called the Abominate. Which makes sense. If they were being invaded and sacked, they wouldn't be writing stuff down. But you're still here, so we were hoping you'd have something. I do. I remember gargantuan spirit beasts that dwarfed the colossi, forced them back. I remember catapults and trebuchets and great siege engines pelting the buildings with strange glass projectiles. Our confusion until we investigated the damage and the plague swept through our ranks like a wildfire. I remember the Abominant lowering the great door to the city with a single spell. I remember donning my war armor and leading my siege and his family to safety, being ready to lay down my life. I remember failing. There's that name again, the Abominant. I have no face or identity to offer, just the name. It sounds like whoever you were very important. Yes, like so many tens of thousands, I was a witness to the fall of the Mechanite Empire. But now I am the only one who remains. That is tragic, and you have my sympathies. But unfortunately, this doesn't tell us anything we don't already know. But this may. SCP-001-A1's left hand, protruding from the machine, slowly unclasps. Within its skeletal grip is another cylinder for the Falad throne. This one is made of a rougher metal compared to the delicate ceramic of the others. Where did this come from? I have looked into myself, the hundreds of cubits of inscribed steel and tubes that hold my enduring soul. My mind is spread across the entire Undercity, banks of data in every corner of AMONI RAM, and the eyes that connect them, and I have seen, in the deepest reaches of myself, a shrine. What kind of shrine? Pieces of war armor meticulously wrapped and preserved, and within them this. The chamber has been sealed for centuries. Over the millennia, my mind has deteriorated. The circuitry was not built to hold me for long. I have forgotten why it is here. You must tell me. That is intriguing. Yes, we can experiment with it right away. Nussbaum gingerly takes the cylinder from SCP-001-A1, clasping it in her metal fingers. You mind taking that up to be catalogued? I'll catch up in just a minute. Just need to go over some schematics. Certainly. Nussbaum exits the chamber. At this point, official audio ceases. However, scientific equipment in the chamber left by the engineering team contained small microphones that recorded the following conversation. This audio was not recovered until several months later by chance during a routine database sweep. You ask about the throne. What makes you say that? You seek the ability to command change. You resent the limitations of your station. I have no idea what you're talking about. The Falad throne was forged from the very first sheets of the metal shorn from McCain's body. A throne is more than a symbol of power. It is an instrument of power. What do you mean? You have already noticed it, haven't you? Your voice carries weight. You command attention. Just now, she didn't even protest, simply followed your order. I'm the project head. Of course they listen to me. Listening is an act. Obedience is beyond that. You have seen the engravings. When the throne was forged at the dawn of the era, Bamaro's people bowed to it, and spread forth across Asia like gleaming sword, laying down their lives for their lord. The throne contains the power to dominate lesser minds. The kings who sat on it used this, and now, with every seat you take on it, you invoke the memories, the name, the power of the kings of old. Why are you telling me this? Surely you see it by now, the parallel. Time is a flat circle, and it swallows its own tail like a sand serpent. You have seen Bamaro's memories. You have seen Hedara's wings. Look around you. This is ridiculous. Aram turns to leave. You seek to change the world, make it more accepting to people like you and her. So did he. The voice of the Emperor is yours now. Do not squander it. End log. The following day, another experiment was scheduled with the throne using the cylinder provided by SCP-001-A1. Open addendum. Begin log. Alright, this cylinder is slightly different, but the process will presumably be the same. I'm ready. Actually, I was thinking perhaps I could handle this one? What? I've gotten familiar with the Nussbaum flexes her prosthetic limbs. Yes, A1 told us that the necessities to use it were augments and the fist. These implants are original mechanite technology dating back to the Empire. It is possible they may let us see more. I guess, but they're an unexpected variable. They could interact differently too. We cannot know until we try, and we have not exactly shied away from trying experimental procedures. The wing arrangement on her back briefly unfolds and extends to its full width before collapsing back in. Yeah, fair point. I don't know. Are you alright, Robert? You're acting strange. I'm fine. It's fine. You can do it. Just, be safe. Nussbaum takes her seat in the throne, pulling the fist onto her left arm and inserting it into the depression. Behind her, Aram places the cylinder into its socket and turns it. Nussbaum's head jerks back and her eyes glow golden, but her reaction is significantly more tempered than Aram's first exposure. Oh! Oh, goodness. You're taking it better than me. I imagine the implants have to do with that. What do you see? I am... Oh, gosh, it is loud. I'm standing there. I'm standing on the walls of the city, Yes, the eastern gate. It is morning. The sun is beating down on the desert. There are hundreds of us, soldiers, lining the walls, and... Yes, gun turrets. It is tense. I can feel myself barking out orders, and the soldiers are obeying, setting up siege engines, loading ammunition, evening out the wall, preparing for war. We are all in armor. Mine is more elaborate than the others. Yeah, the Emperor's armor was... No, I am not the Emperor, not a Bamaro. Who then? I do not know. I can see myself in the metal of a gun turret next to me. I'm a woman, olive-skinned and small. The armor is elaborate. It shows dragons fighting each other. I've seen her before. She was one of the Legion's generals. Hold on. Oh. What is it? The Colossus. It is gargantuan. It just took a step and shook the entire city. It is heading away, towards the horizon. Wait, I see something in the distance. Something kicking up sand. An army. No, a horde. I cannot see individuals, just a mass of bodies in armor and banners and mounts in a dust storm. They go as far as the eye can see. There must be tens of thousands of them. They are too far to engage, but they are coming, and there is nothing we can do to stop their advance. Aram. That must be the Nalka and the Covenant, then. Do you see any sign of what the Abum... It changed. The city is on fire. AMONI RAM is burning. Oh gosh, it is loud. I cannot hear myself think. The sky is red, choked with smog. All I can hear is the clashing of steel and screaming. We are in the southern district, crouching behind a barricade. I leaned up and over and started firing my weapon. I can't see. I hear screaming. The buildings are collapsing. We are under mortar fire. We need to fall back. Stay with me. What does the enemy look like? Beasts, monstrosities, great masses of flesh and limbs in a sickly pale purple, dragging themselves through the dirty streets. Spirits in the air, purple fire covering the walls. There are too many. They're advancing. I can hear the beating of their drums and their war chants. I can hear cannon fire beyond the walls. I can just barely see the colossi in the horizon through the smoke. The streets are wet with blood and slime. We are standing over the ruins of a house now. A mortar hit it. There is something in the center, an object. What is it? One of the men touched it. It broke open. His face burst into leaves, screaming and contorting. What? There are vines spreading outward from him, creeping from his writhing corpse towards us. It is the petrified plant we discovered in the Undercity, a biological weapon. We are falling into the Undercity, retreating. The Legion holding the entrances and choke points against the swarms. The citizens trying to evacuate are dying. Oh, there's so much death. I just split a man open chin to groin, beheading one of the flesh beasts, blood pooling in the golden channels of my short sword, splashing across my armor. Focus, Hedwig. Try to call up image of the Emperor. Yes, I am. In the palace. The city itself is shaking. The Legion is holding the palace against the horde. Bimaro is on the throne with his wife. My lord, we must leave. They have taken 3 of the gates. We will not have a chance much longer. He's not going to leave. No. He stands up. He's in his war armor, all gleaming gold and silver plate, big enough to block out the sky. He leans down. You must go, Shahashna. What did he say? Shahashna. I do not recognize the word. It seems similar to the words for protect or guard. We can figure it out later. Yes. You must go and activate the kiss. We are arguing. I say the kiss is dangerous, that it cannot be ready, that it has no control mechanism whatsoever, that activating it manually could be disastrous. We have no other choice. Go, your king commands it. I bow. He is preparing to go out and lead the defense. I will go and seat myself in the courtyard. This keep will not be breached, not while I draw breath. Wait. He is sitting in the same spot as the statue we found, waiting, sword and spear in hand. Oh, holy shit, it's not a statue. I have left the palace. I'm running across the city to the nearest undercity entrance. The mass of the horde is still beyond the walls, but so many have breached the city. My blade sings, but I never stop, slitting one's throat as I pass him by, cutting another beast, crushing the skull of a Covenant summoner. There are so many. I must keep moving. Okay, I have jumped into the undercity, sealing the entrance behind me. It is different, brightly lit, well signed, blood plastering the walls, corpses lining the passageways. Oh gosh! Where are you going? To the center, deeper and deeper into the labyrinth. I encounter resistance. The Covenant and Nalka's gifts have made it down here. The plant virus and the mutated flesh pod tentacles we have seen, but not petrified and dead, alive. Throbbing, wet. Many soldiers moving through the undercity. They do not know the passages like we do. They are confused. They do not last long. There are many families hiding in the rooms and warehouses and dormitories and barracks. I cannot help them now. All I can do is keep moving. Do you recognize any of the routes? Yes. I just rounded a familiar corner. Yes, I know where we are going. Where? Persevere's chamber. SCP-001-A1, under the palace itself. It takes some detours, but I arrive where it... What? What happened? It is not here. Persevere is not here. Just the masses of machinery, but no arm or mind or voice. Just soulless vacuum tubes and circuit inscriptions. It hums with an unfamiliar energy. There are automata everywhere, maintaining the machine, making sure it works. I look at it. I seal the chamber door behind me. It is just me. I hear a boom from above and begin stripping off my armor. Wait, what? I need to interface with... Oh gosh, I understand now. What? Shahashna is close to guard and protect, but in a noun form. It means one who guards. A preserver. Oh, that's why Persevere isn't here. Oh, I have disrobed. The armor lies in a heap. I reach out and touch. Nussbaum's eyes glow golden, and she breathes in the throne, her back arching wildly. She lets out a long gasp before going limp, sinking back into the throne. Hedvig? Hedvig, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Oh, that was horrible. What the heck just happened? I touched the machine and just... agony. So much pain. I felt like someone was cutting me limb from limb, burning my tongue off and branding my eyes. Are you okay? What do you see now? Yes, I'm fine. I do not know what I'm seeing. Rubble? Debris? It is quiet. Wait, I can move. No, yes, I can move, but I am small. How small? I am inhabiting one of the automata. Just like how Persevere can control them. That settles it. I exit out into the city. I can see. Oh no. What happened? What did the kiss do? Everyone is dead. The horde? Everyone. There are corpses choking the streets. Not a free patch of dirt to be found. Dead bodies covering every possible surface. Both my legionnaires and the horde and the citizens. No explosive finishes. The quiet death of an entire civilization. What have I done? It's not you, Hedvig. I know how convincing it gets. Remember, it's not your memory. They're all dead, Robert. I destroyed the Empire, trying to save it. Everyone I ever knew or loved. Everyone. Aram motions to the engineering team to cut power to the throne. They comply, but nothing occurs. Aram moves to the side of the throne after a few seconds and physically pulls Nussbaum's hand, grasping the fist from its depression in the armrest. Her body relaxes. Hedvig, you hear me? Robert, yes. Thank you. Thought we lost you for a second there. It was overwhelming. Yeah, but we learned a hell of a lot. Yes, of course. No wonder Persevere cannot remember. What do you mean? She obliterated her own civilization while trying to save it. I had a taste of it for just a few seconds and it was too much to take. She has lived with that guilt for nearly 3,000 years. Who wouldn't want to forget? You're saying she did it on purpose. I am no engineer, but if I were a betting woman. Nussbaum holds the cylinder to the light. I would guess these cylinders are a memory storage form of some sort. She placed her memories into this to get rid of them, but obviously when she rid herself of her memories, she forgot what it even was. End log. Upon the discoveries made in the Throne Report, further testing was temporarily halted until a decision could be made on whether to inform SCP-001-A1 of its past. Until then, routine research into repair of infrastructural elements of the city continued as per regular schedule. From the desk of Robert ARAM, AMONI RAM Initiative. Personal log. This is ridiculous. Persevere has been integral to the success of the AMONI RAM Initiative, far more so than any of the O5s arbitrating on whether she deserves to know her own identity. We wouldn't even have the throne if she hadn't led us to it and provided the fist, the cylinders, everything. We owe her. And even if we didn't, it's the right thing to do. Mad scientist is possibly one of the dumbest stereotypes of all time. Scientists have ethics. Even in Prometheus, where progress was done for the sake of progress, we had ethics, expectations of behavior and morality, making sure everyone knew exactly what they were signing up for, not withholding crucial discoveries fundamental to their sense of being. The Foundation is not scientists, it is bureaucrats, and bureaucrats are the ones who will do away with ethics for efficiency. I shouldn't get this mad, but it just begs so many questions. It's representative of how they think of this project, not a font of tools to improve the world, but of information that needs to be suppressed and released when the world is ready. Visionaries do not wait for the world to be ready to present their idea, because the world is never ready. We force the world to change. In the 60s, augments were a rarity in the Foundation. Agents who got them were freaks. They were a last resort to maintain functionality. Then they realized we were better, faster, smarter, stronger, and look at us now, a project in 2 sites staffed entirely by augmented personnel. But they obviously don't trust Persevere because she's a machine, even though she's not, really. She was a human once, but they can only think of her as a machine to use, to exploit. The same way they think of me and Hedwig and Tens and Zaid and all the others. They don't trust us either, not really. We've done more for them and gotten F all in return, except the permission to rebuild what has been our home for nearly a year. It's frustrating. I've been thinking about what SCP-001-A1 said about the throne. It's not true. There's no paratechnology that can force a psychic connection that would require a staggering amount of power and all sorts of bull. But it makes me wonder. I've been probing Nussbaum, seeing if she responds like Persevere said she would. I don't know whether I'm delusional or looking for what I want to see, but I feel like there's something there. She just agrees to whatever. If it is true, and I'm not saying it is, it would logically extend to the others too. Did they all agree to swapping out their arguments with the Mechanite one, their augments with the Mechanite ones because it was what they wanted? Or was it because it was what I wanted them to do? On September 30th, the O5 Council approved a plan allowing the involvement of SCP-001-A1 in the siege of AMONI RAM to be declassified to it, but withholding the details of its activation of McCain's kiss and destruction of the city. Doctors Aram and Nussbaum entered its chambers the following day. Come back next week for Part 3 and the end of AMONI RAM.